The City of Gun Barrel City will meet in a workshop in City Hall Council Chambers located at 1716 West Main Street, Gun Barrel City, Texas, on Tuesday, June 27, 2023 at 5 p.m. Call to order. From my left.
Key here.
Evans here. We have a quorum. New business, discussion regarding animal control. Well, anyone want to start the discussion? We have discussion questions in here. We have a contract.
I would like some clarification on the question about the breakdown of the cost, because I'm not sure it was answered the way that it was intended. I just would like some clarification on the breakdown of the $416 cost per animal, because I understand the breakdown that was given, but I understood the question as like a breakdown, what that covers per animal. Is that not how it was intended?
Like how it comes up with the $416?
Right.
And I'll just say, we've had extensive details about this. And when we sit down with you guys last time in regards to the actual budget and explain the difference between the per animal and the monthly. So I'm not quite sure what exactly are you trying to drill down to again?
So if you go to the budget and you look at the whole operating cost and our salaries just for adding an animal and a half comes to about $36,000 a year. It's actually a little bit more than that because we have to pay taxes and all of that. So if you look at the agreement, it's at like 40, what's the?
It's the total is, and this is what is 413,849.96. That's the total budget, and then you have the breakdown of all those different, some are fixed costs, some.
I do remember this as the part that I remember.
Yeah.
And then we took basically how many animals that we anticipate bringing in. So we have to put a cap on that because of the staffing that we have. So that's how we set some of these costs based on the payroll. So we take in 70 animals a month as opposed to 80. That's going to change the staffing and the payroll cost. So it's based on the total number that we plan to take in for the year, and really divide that out to the 413. Yes, sir. And these are the breakdowns of all those.
And that's a reduced rate. The 416 is reduced. Our actual cost, when we added, is about 480.
Yeah, and so what we did, it was 480. So what we did is we took the monthly that we had offered to the city of Kaufman and trying to get you guys on the same. So we reduced that, more of it, if you will, a discount price for Gun Barrel to have the same rates that we're doing with the city of Kaufman.
Have a limit on the animal of dogs they can bring?
They will. We're in the process of sending the same contract to them that we have with you guys. So they have been showing good faith in that they've been averaging 10 a month. So it's some months, they fluctuate, but we are planning to take the same contract, because we basically did not renew the contract. We did a month to month because we didn't know if we were going to be able to have appropriate funds. And that was another concern for us, especially at the beginning of the year. So the beginning of the year, or it may have been actually last year, that we had really more of an agreement with them that we would continue with the old contract at that rate that you guys are also getting.
Yeah.
So that gave us some time to see if we were going to be able to have appropriate funding to basically stay open as a shelter. So we are seeing that we are stable, and really we're stable because of donations and fundraising money. And we talked about that we have been kind of setting aside for a long time now when we lost the $200,000 from Kaufman County. So with all that said, we are now we did in the beginning of the year with the smaller cities on the per animal fee and gradually getting them up. We started out in January at a rate, and now we're up to another rate. Probably we'll look at January again. So the answer to that is we're all going to try to be on the same playing field because we are having a tight budget. We have to supplement, our board has to supplement to get to that 413 for the year. And I'm happy to go into, and you can have another copy of that, and that may help.
Since the rate is not locked in any way, potentially you could raise it every month.
No, the rate is,
According to number 2 on the contract.
if we cancel the contract, okay, the rate's not going to increase. We have to cancel the contract, okay, and put a new contract in. So we're not saying that we're going to offer you this and then next month we're going to change the rate. That's not, you guys wanted a year contract. And we said that we didn't want to go into a year contract because we're still not, I guess, stable in one sense, whether or not those funds are going to get us through the end of the year. So we came back and offered you what I consider a year contract, but with the option for both parties could cancel. If we had a hardship and we didn't meet those goals, okay, then we would obviously not be able to continue to operate. Okay.
Did you want, Mickey, did you want just a 3-month contract to get us through the fiscal year? Yeah.
And we need to talk about it in the budget for next year.
Right,
So
okay.
in the budget for next year, we are estimating. In the budget, oh my gosh, in the budget next year, we're estimating the price for the Humane Society contract. And I guess we need to be on the same page because I was under the impression that we were going to go back to the Humane Society and we weren't going to run our own shelter because we just can't do it. We kind of knew that. So I'm kind of at a loss of why. Now I don't know what we're going to do because if we're only limited to 10 dogs, we have a space that holds 9. So I don't know if we're going to have to stop picking up dogs after 10 or if we're going to have to pay $4.16 a dog after 10. I'm not really sure. So I kind of want to get the general opinion of what I was thinking we were just going to go back to the Humane Society, but I'm thinking that's not what the idea is.
I think when originally, back in 2001, when these discussions started happening in July and about the cost and all of that, COVID still hadn't inflated all of the medical costs, the vaccines, employees, cost even for food. And so you guys were front row witnesses of us trying to figure that out because we'd finally get staff at a certain hourly rate, and then it would bump up again, and everybody would leave us to go for an easier job. Because quite frankly, our jobs at the shelter are probably one of the hardest. Yeah, so we are still running into that issue with the staffing, even at the higher cost. And with us, it's, we're not for profit. And I'll stress that nobody on our board, Lynette, how much do you get paid for being on the Humane Society? I get paid nothing. How much do we pay in every year to the Humane Society? So so with all of this, it's like we've been figuring it out with all of these inflation costs. And we've also then got hit the double blow with County of Kaufman leaving, which that meant half the revenue. And they were floating everybody else. So nobody even had really an idea of what the actual cost for picking up a dog was. And now that we've like scaled way down, and we're basically running at minimal to try to get as many animals with the money that we do have, we're finding that it's not easy to scale back up without having all of these costs that are hard costs. And once again, there's not like a magical bucket that we can go to. The magical bucket has been the community. They've been the one that's been donating. They've been the ones that have been financing the majority for the shelter. And so when it comes to, but it's gonna cost us $416 per dog, that's additional, the reality is it costs almost $500 per dog. And yes, it's you guys picking up that, it's us also picking up a portion. The big thing, and this is the bigger thing that this community has to decide in this council, is if you guys are ready, or if you're in enough pain to actually start putting in some ordinances that might actually make a difference. You know, ordinances with even just microchipping. If we had microchipping, that would reduce the dumping that we see, that all of us see. The animal control officer sees with just dogs being dumped, dogs with litters, dogs that are pregnant, that if they had a microchip, we could bring them back to their owners, you know, and that would reduce, and all of these numbers would go down. If there was some kind of, you know, ordinance to even put in spay and neuter, that would help with the numbers. Because right now, all of us are scrambling because these numbers keep going up and up and up, and guess what? They're gonna exponentially go up every year. We're gonna have more animals that are gonna be deserted, more animals abandoned, more puppies, more litters, everything, because they're not being, there's no repercussions for anybody right now. So, and we can't put in those ordinances. We're having these conversations with all of the cities and the counties that we support. We need y'all's help with that. And really, I hate to say that if it starts becoming such a financial burden, maybe it'll be the wake-up call for us to, or for y'all to put those ordinances in place, because we can't do it, and it's not gonna get better.
I'm just gonna talk louder. So, we are, Carol is in the process right now. We're looking at registration ordinances. We're also looking at microchipping ordinances, so we are starting that. But that is not gonna happen overnight. We're gonna have a door-to-door campaign for people to know that we're gonna start registering dogs. We're gonna start microchipping dogs, whatever the council chooses to do. So we are in the process of doing that. I guess what we need to discuss is, I put in the budget for next year, $52,000. That is the $49,000 contract, plus an additional for, if someone were to get bit, we have to do rabies testing or whatever. What we need to discuss is, we're gonna have to increase that if this is how it's gonna be managed, because either way, we're either going to have 10 dogs in the Humane Society, possibly 10 dogs in our shelter, or 10 extra dogs that we're gonna have to pay for each month. So we've got to really decide the limit. I looked back at the numbers, and in 2020, I don't want to get the years wrong, so in 2020, maybe 2020, it was an average about 180 dogs and cats that we've taken over that year. And then I looked back at, 2022, the year that Renee passed away. I just started looking at what he had done at the beginning, and if he had averaged that out, it would have been about 155 dollars. So we're not near the 120 mark, and so that kind of is a scary place to be. I don't know if we can negotiate to maybe increase that a little bit to help us offset some of that, because we know it's a problem, and we're trying to do everything we can. We just got to talk about those additional options.
I can give you some numbers so that you guys can understand what you're up against. In 2021, you brought in 323 animals a year. So in 2022, okay. Okay, so you had 181 dogs, okay? If you want to take out the 141 for cats in 2021. And then you're right, in 2022, you didn't have an animal control officer until probably April and May. May, you brought in 36, 21 dogs, 15 cats. June 27, 33. So that was kind of where you were averaging. So, and 32 dogs in July of 2022. So, you know, just keep in mind, and we understand your situation, but if we do 30 animals, the more animals we add, that's another employee that we have to add, because we have reduced our staffing to the quality of care that we can give that animal. So if I take in 10 more animals, I have to put another person on the payroll, and that's based off what the state recommends. Person and a half. Excuse me, I always, remember that, she got me last time, okay? So that's where we're up against, and so we understand your situation. I would like to make a recommendation that you continue with your, the interim, I call it your interim place for that animal. That way you have a chance to get the fees on someone who didn't register it or didn't spay neuter, and that animal's picked up, and so you have an opportunity to, I call it a holding period, and then maybe if you can't find its home on your own, then it comes to the shelter. So I definitely don't think you want to do away with that. And again, I'll use, you know, Kaufman and some other cities that have done that. They've been successful with bringing them into their interim shelter before they brought them into our shelter. So I'd highly recommend y'all continue to do that.
And I wasn't talking about getting ready to rent our holding facility. I was talking, like, we're like adopting animals out, and I was hoping you were going to try to get back away from that and let you adopt the animals because you're the experts, but that's something that we've got to look at as a number-wise.
Yeah, but that's going to increase the cost. It's only 48 or 49, whatever it is, the dog, it's going to cost us, you know, people have to be fed water 7 days a week, I mean, you're right. So that increases even more, so then you put up to 60,000, 70,000 as far as the cities, you know, numbers of what we have to pay, you know, compared to what you.
I've got a handful of rescues that I've been working with. I've been able to place a lot of the dogs with the rescues. The dogs that have left the shelter, with the exception of the puppies, age appropriate, have all left with their vaccines, rabies shots, been spayed or neutered, up to date on heartworm. They get the Pro Heart shot if they're heartworm negative. If they're not, we do a slow kill with the Heart Guard. The rescues have been, one's in Dallas, one's over by Fort Worth. One, I took a day off of work and took 8 to Louisiana to a rescue.
This is the love that you find, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is the love that you find for somebody that is, you know, working and dealing with animals. And what you're doing with the rescues and driving to Louisiana on your own time, your heart is very big, and that's what I'll say to anybody who wants.
Well, I have horses, and I do horse rescue. And the thing with rescue is, it's always been knit and pick. Rescues fight against each other, and it shouldn't be that way. We all have the same goal in mind, and it's the welfare and the benefit of the animals. And it's never going to be a profit situation when it comes to animals and rescue. You just need to make sure you get them into the quality, proper homes that they deserved all along. You're going to have way more into each animal than what you're ever going to get back in an adoption fee. No.
We can never adopt for, you know, almost $500.
No, you know, but there are ways, you know, you can find places to get discount microchips and discount vaccines, and you just have to really shop and figure out, you know, you can't always go through a veterinarian and buy everything, because then you're gonna pay, you have a middleman you've gotta pay, you know, when you're doing that. So, but I really try to reach out to these rescues and to make sure the dogs go into a rescue, so I know that the people are vetted properly that step forward that want to adopt them, so that I know they are going into proper homes. Tuesday, I picked up 17 dogs, and they were placed into 3 different rescues. Yes, that was actually the second time for this lady that we've pulled dogs. And
Did you give her a fine?
yeah, yeah. And then I have a rescue coming in at the end of the week to look at the dogs that we have in the shelter. They're interested in what we have. I had two more that left last week, and went into another rescue. So I'm constantly, when one leaves, it's like two come in and take its place.
Yes, we are. We work with rescue groups and transports.
I've got a lady that's wanting to get some together to make a transport to Canada. They're transporting all the way to Canada, so. Yes, I've researched them and make sure and look at their ratings, and I talked to the managers, and, and I've talked to some people that have adopted from them. So,
Rescues are a great partner. I mean, if we didn't work with the rescues, if we didn't do all the transports, there'd be no place for the dogs, for the animals to go.
no, and in all these rescues, everybody's full. And no matter where you go, you hear that we're full, we're not doing this, we're not doing that, we can't. But when another rescue reaches out, with a blessing, they're able to step forward and take a few, that's why we have to split them. Like some went to rescue outside of Waco, some went to rescue outside of Fort Worth. But when you're able to split them up and make the load a little bit less on a rescue, they're more apt to step forward sometimes.
One of our board members actually bought a transport vehicle and takes it all over the US. Personal dime, once again, not a paid board member, spends thousands of dollars for trying to transport animals outside of our shelters.
Like I said, it's not a profit. You're not, when it comes to this, it's just, it is what it is, and you just have to deal with it day by day, because you never know what's going to be thrown at you.
What is the average length of stay for the animals?
Thirty-five is what we averaged, 35 days in the shelter, and there's some exceptions on either side.
And my other question is, what is your euthanasia rate?
And usually what we do is our EU rate is not based on space, because we do our transport. Our EU rate is based on sick, injured. And so a lot of people don't understand when you go out the EU rate, they think, oh my gosh, we put our animals down. We're proud of the fact that we don't have to do it for space because of the transports and rescues. And when you're
Well, I think what I'm hearing here is that for the first time, maybe we're coming together with some sort of a general plan, and that's what we have lacked for a year. But I see sort of a three-legged stool here. One would be rescue shelters, one in ordinances, and two is working directly with the shelter. And I think if we could come up with some combination of that, it may require us to expand our holding facilities here to more than 9 animals, but that might be the more inexpensive way to go. But it seems to me that we're going to have to face the ordinance issue, and as many as we can continue to, if we are picking them up and have rescue shelters we can work with, I think that's very positive too. So I like what I'm hearing in terms of the three areas that we could work in, and it gives us, the city, some initiatives. If we can cut down on costs by having ordinances that people will help support, then I think we'll all be better off.
Well, and if you think about the ordinances, if they're not compliant, then there's fines and there's citations that go with that. Not to say that it's gonna ever be a moneymaker, it's not the, I don't think it's the goal for the council for that, but it's at least a way to recoup some of those funds, because I've spoken to you guys multiple different times with different people, and one of the biggest things that comes up is that we all are in this together. We've got a problem, and I know that there's been angst before, and I would actually agree with your assessment that this feels like it's the first time that I don't feel like anybody is gonna try to kill me afterwards, keep my car, do anything, or try to corner me and try to get me to, say something or do something to fight me. So that's positive, but we do have the problem, and it was brought up a couple of times on, it's not our fault, why should we have to pay for this? Why should we have to do this? And it's not our fault. It's not your fault. It's not our fault. It's probably not anybody's fault that's sitting here in the room. It's the fault of the irresponsible pet owner. And unfortunately, sometimes the only way to get them to do anything is the ordinances, the citations, and the upholding of the citations.
So, I know that you do your own spay and neuters now, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you only spay and neuter the animals that come through your facility?
Yes, we don't take them from the outside. So just our own animals.
So if we were to purchase,
And to help us work together, if we were to purchase 20 spay and neuter certificates, and we gave those to our citizens that were in need to help spay or neuter their dogs, would that be something we could work together on, where they could?
we could send it to you, or we can work with the Friends of the Animals, or you rather that Friends of the Animals?
Friends of the Animals is the best, because one of the things that we find is it's hard. We've got great vets. It's hard to keep great vets for long periods of time. They all need breaks, so it's like a little bit of a rotation at times. So even with our shelter, sometimes it's a little bit maxed out when we're doing all the spay and neuter. Where Friends of the Animals, we also partner with them, and we bring overflow animals also over to them for spay and neuter. But this is what I would also say is, before, we may have mentioned it, but it might have been very insincere. But I think sincerely, we'd be more than happy to partner up with you guys, partner up with you, and even with looking at your existing enclosures and start working together on it versus against, yeah, very much so against.
The other thing I think about regarding the voucher, so to speak, I believe that was tried by you all, and the city came back and said it was not very successful.
It wasn't the city that came back, it was us coming back and us saying we are getting grants and funding to build a spay and neuter because the vouchers were finding that they're not working. And yes, that was definitely weaponized against us. We were saying it wasn't working. We got the grants, Petco and all them have been amazing. So we do have the facility now for spay and neuter.
This would be on an individual basis, like if she came upon a situation where a family had animals that they couldn't afford to have spay or neutered, we would get, at an ad meeting.
Yeah, and you know what, call us, because we experience that too, and I can't tell you how many times the board has personally opened up their walls
shelter, they'll give you a voucher till the pup reaches 6 months. And 30 days past that, if they don't receive a letter from a veterinarian, then they call those people, and those people are fined.
They are, and that's actually up to the state. It would be up to us to say, okay, these ones did not, call back and show proof of spay and neuter, and then it's up to the city or the county to have somebody call that person and follow up and issue citations and all of that.
The other problem I'm running into is I love the microchipping thing, but I come across the problem. They're microchipped, but they're not registered. They're microchipped. It's given to this person, it's been given to this person, it's been given to this person, and the microchip has not been updated. So you're still having trouble getting these dogs located, reunited with who they need to be reunited with.
Yeah.
My own dog is microchipped and it is not updated. But
You're gonna fix that. It's
both our dogs wear air tags,
Yeah, okay, there you go.
so we know where they are.
But I don't think you're trying to dump your animals, so.
Makes them update it, so whoever it's registered to should be responsible. That way, whenever, if I give away a dog, sell a dog, or get rid of it, that it's, I need to make sure that I update that registration, otherwise I'm held responsible for it, because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do.
Any more discussion?
The part regarding owner surrenders, can you just explain to me what the reasoning is behind that?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because what we've been seeing are issues where an individual will call us, and what we try to do is put them on a list, okay? And what'll happen is, we've seen it in areas where they'll turn around, and they'll call the ACO officer and say, you know, can you take care of this dog anymore? And then now that dog comes in from ACO. Now ACO, the city or the county, wherever it is now, really paying for that animal. So you're circumventing what the process should be, which is we should get the revenue from the animal, from the owner. And plus, we also counsel the owner. Here's some suggestions. Now, are we 100% accurate on all those things that need to be done to try to get that information to that person saying they want to surrender their animal? Now, there's exceptions, which is when you see an animal that's being abused, okay, by the owner, then yeah, we want the ACO officer to go out and get that. That would be the owner surrender that we would accept based on that situation. There's just too many people that try to circumvent bringing their animal in and say, oh, it's running around, come pick it up. And it's not a true owner surrender. We're seeing that way too much, and that's why we just added that language as well to our contracts. That's correct.
Directly from the
Unless
owner.
it's an abuse situation, then you should, you know, pick that animal up.
To expand on that too, one of the things that we're seeing too is that a adult female will have just had puppies, and they will call us to come pick up the puppies. They want to keep the mom dog. And, you know, we don't offer that service where we go and pick them up. And so, sorry, I don't mean to point at you. I'm not, but then they'll call animal control, and then the ACO officer will come to their house and they will say, okay, here are the puppies, we're keeping the mom. And then there's no like, you know, can we offer to get spay and neuter for the mom? You know, because it's becoming every season, you know, we're seeing the same dogs and the same puppies and all of that. So we can't have it anymore where it's like, we can't say and condone that behavior anymore. We got to try to stop it somehow. And that's working directly with the owners. once you surrender that dog too, there's a whole intake process with all of the vaccinations and the rabies and everything that you have to do. So there's hard costs when we take the animals in. Now, there are times that, once again, one of the board members, there's usually an alert that goes out and one of us will end up paying. Or we'll get a sponsor that will sponsor we get sponsors more for the adoptions, I stand corrected on that. But, sometimes there's a little bit of flexibility on the owner surrender, but there's real hard costs to taking in an animal.
Is there any flexibility on the 10 animals per month?
We did offer, or we would average it for the quarter, so my government did come back with that. And, I'll say too, if we're talking about 1 or 2 over per quarter, I don't think we see some kind of savings around the bill. I will say that we want to work with you as well, so if there's a situation where 1 or 2 over, I think
Any more questions?
I guess the consensus is we're going to keep running the way we're running and possibly go with the shelter as well. Thanks, Simon.
Personally, that if we vote for that, if we vote for the taking away tonight, we don't have a choice. We picked up more than 10 animals, so it's going to that additional cost. So we're going to have to figure out how to afford that. As long as you're doing a great job, and I'm just saying there's cost to that. There's cost to us. If we keep the dog in a holding pattern, if we spend her, we do all the things that she's already doing, those are costs. Every dog that we take in above 10, and we do something with. So it's not like our animal cost stops at 49,000, whatever we're giving to the Animal Society. What is it, another, we have the vet bills and stuff, it's another 10, 15,000, 20,000 on top of that?
So I'll just like to add, and there's been success stories as we research, that if you really spend your time, money upstream, it may take a year before it pays off, right? It's gonna take a while. But I would suggest again that you spend your money and your resources upstream, and all the things that you talked about, they're great, great things. And we have seen success from other cities and counties outside of our area that are doing that, and they've reduced their animal intake by 50%, which means the cost is reduced. But it took them there was one that I know of out of our area, it took them 2 years. But there's also, and I like to use the city of Kaufman that did some things, and they were giving us twice as many animals, and they reduced that. So, but we sat down and had these meetings 2 years ago about with the animal control officer and all the things that we're talking about today. They're there now. They're 2 years. You guys need to get to that point. I think we'll be happy with that.
And upstream, she needs to be the ordinance.
Different dogs have different personalities, they have different requirements. Healers versus a weenie dog, they have different requirements. And a lot of people just take for granted our dogs are dogs. That's not true. You need to match dogs with personality and situation.
Oh, look at that. Oh, she's reading her
No,
notes. She's
I
got
don't
animal
know.
care classes.
But, and I was thinking about Jennifer doing a poll, since that's kind of her niche. Maybe do a poll of the public. What are some fundraising ideas you have for helping with the animal care problem? They've got, we got 6,000 people. Somebody's got an idea here.
And I'd like to say too, I've seen you guys post all these great fundraisers and concert and all these things. You guys are each of that. And so, you could also do, again, a carnival thing, fundraiser where you bring animals in. Again, we would help you, but we can't commit to doing one, okay? Because and I will tell you.
You guys know where we are with the fundraising. Almost 50% of the budget is being fundraised by the board members. So our fundraising
so I think you guys definitely have the right ideas.
Yeah.
So I would definitely support you with that. And, because I've got a lot of background with fundraising, but I just didn't have the time because we just came off one fundraiser that was over in Athens, thank you, Texas. And then now we're the big one here with Steel Legacy, September 23rd. And that's a lot of work, you know, and I keep cheering every year. I want someone to take my place, but that doesn't happen yet, so. But, so, again, compliments to you guys, because I think you guys got a great platform, and if you want some ideas,
One B,
I'm gonna give you guys a flyer on Wizards and Wax before I leave, okay? Every year we come up with a different theme, so while it's called, Wizards and Wax, it's actually pearls and claws. Very nice. So that's the information on it, and, so there's also, when we do sponsorships, I think that's most of the information, to the back. We do sponsors, so you guys, we're gonna be sending out, some emails, and it's my contact, if you guys are interested in coming and you can see again what we do, and we would love to you guys, come and support us. So, you guys go. Oh, you keep it. I have a couple. So, but, so yeah, again, that's how we raise the money that we're talking about. And, get the community behind us. And I'll also say it's a reputation of trying to save animals. That helps us get more support for donations. Thank you for understanding too.
Community Center for 15, 20 years. And this is a printout from 2010. Y'all can pass that around. That the group back then put together. Just ideas of what you might want in a community center. I'm just going to throw that out there, and y'all can look at it. And then in 2011, they did a survey, a civic center research study by Linda Rankin and that group. It's quite lengthy. But this time, we actually have some money, so maybe we can get something accomplished.
Just for a little background, the council passed Resolution R2022-003 back in February 22nd of 2022. And basically, this is what we defined as the construction of a multipurpose building. The facility would include a COVID testing, vaccination center, youth sports facility, senior center or enlarged kitchen, classrooms, training center, including computers with internet access. The new development will also serve as the emergency operations center for the city of Gun Barrel City. So this is what really that's the only action the council has taken regarding this new possibility community center. And this was taken 16 months ago, and we're We still have the federal money. There is no decision's been made on how we might move forward with it. So I wanted to bring today just an idea. I'm not here to sell really anything strongly, but I do think that what we need in the city at this time are some options. We just saw that we dealt ourselves a little short on options in the animal control problem, and let's don't get that way if we can help it with the community center idea. Many of you know there was a property located or became available. It's really the only one in town that I'm aware of with the square footage that might accommodate such a facility. And I have proposed or would like for the council to consider doing a study to take a look at that facility and see what is really needed in terms of modifications, what it might cost, as well as ADA requirements. Many of you have cured it. If we do opt not to go this way, I strongly urge us to start getting some bids out for property, what it might look like on our city property, and let's get moving. We really need some ideas, some cost per square foot, and we haven't seen that too much. I think another thing that got us off a little bit on this whole idea was an idea came up to move City Hall over there and combine it with this, and I think that muddied the water considerably. I think now, at least in my opinion, the City Hall should stay here where it is, and we need to go forward with what we have. We've set aside, I don't know what's left in this fund, but there's $1 million, 5 or 6, and we set aside $300,000 in city funds for $400,000 this fiscal year. So we're looking at about $2 million. That's a substantial amount of money. What can we build with it on site for that? This facility here is 16,000 square feet for $1.6 million. It's $100 a square foot. I don't think we can build anything on our property for that, but we might be able to afford something that would be usable if we had some more ideas about numbers. So I've put together, I took the initiative to go to a reputable national firm, and they came back with actually I thought a very modest proposal to take a look at Burnham. They're out of, well, they have an office in Dallas, and this is who I talked with. They've put together a proposal, two-phase proposal, $4,000 and $7,500 to take a look at the ADA requirements. And they did remind us that even though that building was built in 2005, if it's had been any building permits, and it has been some, I think, with the city, it has been in compliance. So this is where we are. I just wanted to bring this forward as an option. I think we want to keep, I'm just urging the council to keep all of our ideas open, and let's don't close out any one option just yet until we know exactly what we're trying to do and accomplish. Thank you.
In all the comments, was there one positive comment from anyone about this building?
Well, Ernie had no comments at all.
I think so too. I didn't see, he said, I don't care. Yeah, I didn't see one positive response to this building. Location, in my opinion, is terrible. Yeah. Not everybody's 80 here.
This is a drawing of the first rendition, and this is when they were going to close in the pavilion. I think we're all on the side that that's not going to happen. But this is the idea. This was not City Hall involved. This is just a community center with a basketball court. Mike has gone out. You want to pass those out?
Two pamphlets and one book.
We got it.
Everybody got one? Oh, yeah? Okay. Okay. We were talking about the community center, the building and everything. So I went out to a couple of metal companies to get a quote on a building shell itself, 100-foot by 100-foot building shell, okay? And the first one is Red Dot, okay? Of course, they'll come in and build the building and everything, but that's just a shell, okay? That doesn't include the slab and the other, and finishing out the system itself, okay? On how we want it. We'd have to design that. I heard someone say that we could become the general contractors for this building, okay? And bid everything out to subcontractors and do it ourselves, okay? That's material, that's the building itself, uh-huh.
The
Red,
179 is them actually building it,
right,
but not slab.
right.
It is the cost of them putting it together.
Just the metal shell, the building.
Okay, so it doesn't include the labor too, I thought.
10,000 square feet, 100 by 100,
Does the
okay?
red dot include the labor?
On theirs, okay, on their end. It's part of their, they will install, they will build the
Do
building.
we have a slab estimate here?
No, sir, I don't have a slab estimate yet because it's gonna take engineered slab, okay?
Yeah.
Because when a metal building is built, they have to drill piers and everything
Right.
to set the foundation on. So I haven't got a quote on that until we agree something, then we can move forward with that.
This is with a 12-foot,
12-foot ceiling eave height, okay? And then we could do 9-foot ceilings inside, okay? Now, basketball court wouldn't work because if you try to put a basketball court on a different height on the building, that's gonna double the price on your building itself.
Did you ask for, so you didn't ask for a 20-foot high?
No, I didn't. I
We
didn't have to
can.
quote that. We can. This is just,
No, I think it's just for comparative purposes.
yeah.
You need a 20-foot per basketball.
Why do you need a basketball court? You have two.
Well, I think originally, when they were talking about enclosing the pavilion, they were taking away the basketball court. so
Right.
We're going to incorporate, but if
Right.
we're going to leave
Yes.
the basketball
Maybe you
court
don't
where
need
they
it.
are,
Right.
you may or may not need it inside the building.
You'd want to use the metal slab, then you can go in with partition walls and you can divide it up.
you can still use an open, big, huge open area.
So if the Derby girls wanted to skate in the pool,
It'd still be open, there just wouldn't be a basketball.
Right,
Or you
of
could
course, the
do-
open where we were to have, where people need to know the cost, but that we need a big open area.
Correct. Yeah, like a gym without the height.
Now, the first quote is Red Dot, okay, which you see is $179,704, okay? That's 100 by 100. I didn't have them quote any roll-up doors or anything like that because we weren't sure what we wanted. This is for, let's see, you'll see he's got everything down here on the man doors. They're all handicap doors, big enough for handicap. And windows in the building. Okay, he quoted all the windows and everything on the Red Dot. Now, the second quote that I have from Armstrong Steel, they're from up north. They sell kits. Okay, they would ship it down here. We would have to hire someone to put it together. And that's kind of hard to find around here, someone that would come in and build another person's building. Okay. I just got that as kind of something to fall back on. It's the first one I looked at. And I think they quoted us about
Red Dot's material,
It tells you 24 gauge steel.
so they're both, I mean, it's apples to apples, there's
Yes.
steel.
Pretty much, yeah. Now, the map I have here is the land up next to PD. Okay? We can build the community center right next to the police department, share the parking lot with the police department. Behind it, on Leah, we own all those lots behind the state park back there. We can make parking back there, pave Leah, and then you would have access back there. You have two roads in and out. Yes, sir, right side. Yeah, well, here, yeah, right side here. And we would make the parking lot bigger.
It would not be in. It'd be on the side, right here.
It'd be beside. facing municipal.
Point it out in the air so we can, is this it right here? So we need to really decide, do we want to build or do we want to buy? Because whatever it is, we need to start, especially if we want to try to build, we've got to start now. is helping